I have learned to appreciate the role that everyone has on a team.
Along the way, with help of friends and mentors, I found out about a career in user experience.
Algorithmic self-assembly or programmable matter, just kind of cool things like that.
I feel like I've become more familiar with how APIs work.
There's something that you know that other people don't. Likewise, there's stuff that other people know that you don't.
So in terms of managing my time, it was just doing anything and everything that I felt like I could do and that would help me grow.
The deadline is in like 2 months from now, so it's fine. Like, you can fix it now.
You have to trust that over time, you keep putting in the work, it'll get you there.
Hi, my name is Catalina. I just graduated with my bachelor's degree in computer science this past December 2021, and now I'm working as a developer advocate at Zoom, part of the marketplace team. So last semester, let's say, the way I usually look for jobs, I guess, would be like through LinkedIn or just look at companies that I am particularly interested in. And I was really looking forward to working as a developer advocate at a company. And however, those roles are kind of scarce. They're kind of hard to find. Not every company has them, and if they do, not all companies do the same thing. So looking through LinkedIn, I was able to find this job, apply, and they got to me back pretty fast. I want to say after I applied, I probably got reached out for an interview like a week from that time. And the interview process it's pretty extensive, and I want to say Zoom has like my favorite interviews that I've ever had, because it didn't feel like it was, what do you know? Tell me the answer right now. It was super conversational. It was very conversational and very open, and they made me feel extremely comfortable. The interviews were very, very long, I will say that. I believe the first interview usually is, standardly it's usually 30 minutes, but my first interview was about an hour, and it was just introduction, clarification about the job, what I'm looking for, etc., etc. And then after that, I went straight with the manager, and that was like an hour or two, I might say. And then after that, I had to interview with all the team. Not all the team members, but some team members, and all in one day. So that was about, I want to say, like 5 to 6 hours or something like that. It was a really long interview, but I think it's mostly because they were short on time to hire somebody. Okay, so I've only worked here for 3 or 4 months, so I haven't done anything super big yet, but I feel like I've become more familiar with how APIs work, especially obviously communication APIs, which is what Zoom is. It's a communication platform. So I feel like I've become more familiar with different, how to use different, I want to say Zoom APIs, because that's what I've been focusing on for different scenarios. So for example, for how to integrate that in a school district or in HR department, medical industry, or even different, depending on what country or what region you're in. Zoom is used very, very differently, and there's a lot of different policies, laws, the way the API is being used. That's something that I've learned a lot. Like Zoom isn't just, let's video chat or let's have a phone call. It's a lot more than that, and I think it's pretty cool. I've become a lot more familiar with APIs and API calls, and just I guess how to use them properly, not how to make the most out of the API. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that part, how did I manage? I barely managed, let's say that. With my last semester of my computer science degree, I had to do a capstone project, and that capstone project took over my life. It was extremely time-consuming. So finding time to apply to jobs that I was interested in, and catching up on reviewing for interviews, as well as just all that stuff was. I barely got any sleep. Let's say last semester I barely slept. When I had free time or when I had time, I would just apply to as many as possible. And since I was basically only applying to either software engineering roles or developer advocate roles, mostly developer advocate roles, the resume that I had was sufficient enough. So the application process was really fast for me. So I just, any free time that I had or before I went to sleep, I would just apply to everything and keep up with it either I would keep up with it on the GitHub projects board, and then I would have a board places I applied to, places that I've gotten rejected from, places where I have an interview or offers, which was Zoom and one other company. But that's how I kept up with it, I guess. And the closer, when I would get an interview, I would probably say I would book that interview two weeks after they told me, and I would use those 2 weeks to prioritize that. So I would definitely just study and study the company and study the role, and really look at the job description to know what I need to be familiar with to be able to pass that interview. So I guess that's how I semi-handled that situation. But it was pretty hard. I must say, I didn't get an offer until probably 2 days before I graduated. So I was extremely anxious. Especially because I had a lot of plans after graduating. I was not going to be in town at all. So I was really worried about not getting an offer and having to either cancel or delay my plans afterwards. But I'm pretty fortunate to have been able to get an offer before graduating. I want to say communication has been a big one, as well as teamwork. I think that those two, even though they seem really generic, I really emphasize those two because I feel like it's something that people don't really have. I feel like teamwork can be very difficult, especially if your communication skills aren't there. A lot of the time in different companies you get this, oh, well, I didn't know this was happening, or a sudden change happened in a department and it affects everybody else, and nobody knew this was going to happen, so now we have to play the catch-up game, or oh, it was your responsibility, no, it was this person's responsibility, etc., etc. I feel like that's something that's very difficult, but as a developer advocate, that's kind of your main goal, or your main skill set that you need to have. Your job is to be able to communicate correctly different tools, different things happening in the technical world for whatever company you're working for, as well as being able to cross-functionally communicate with different teams. So I'm part of a marketing team, but I have to always be talking to different teams. I have 100 different chats between different teams, and it can be a little bit hard to handle sometimes, but I feel like it's a definite skill set that you need to have. If you can't properly communicate and organize yourself, it's gonna be kind of hard to be a developer advocate, especially in the team I'm in. So that I feel like those two skill sets have been the ones that have helped me the most. I think right now I'm still kind of learning what I want to do. I really like this developer advocate role. However, I do want to keep moving up the ladder. I really am looking into product management. I feel like that's probably the next step that I want to take in my career. And what I really like about working at my company is that they give you're allowed to do side projects within the company and be able to, let's say you want to launch something or you want to be part of a project, you definitely can. Especially as a developer advocate, you have like that capability, I guess you could say. I guess talking to my managers as well as just learning on the side, having side projects. It's something that it's not currently happening, right? Currently I'm just focusing on getting adjusted to this job and trying to learn what I need to do because it's been a few months, but I'm still learning. I really want to continue to grow and pursue, if it's product management or something else, or I don't know, becoming part of a different developer advocate team and doing something that interests me more or something like that. But currently, I'm just focusing right now on just trying to learn the current job that I'm trying to do, and then hopefully afterwards I can start climbing that ladder, I guess. I guess the advice that I would give someone would be, okay, so I guess the advice for this current role would be you have to have a lot of general knowledge. That's something that I've learned. As a developer advocate, you're constantly dealing with different developers from different levels of skill set, and as well as like different developers. You get back-end developers, front-end, full stack, or machine learning, etc., etc. Or you even deal with like product management, CTOs, CEOs, etc. Like you deal with a lot of different people. Sometimes they have a lot of technical knowledge. Sometimes they don't even know how to copy paste. So I feel like having a lot of general knowledge and how to talk to different people is something that you need to have, or you need to at least try to obtain. I don't know everything, but I do know different things. I feel like I'm not an expert on everything. However, I am familiar with different things. So if I'm asked a question, I don't know the answer to it, but I know what they're talking about, and I know how to get that answer to that developer, or how to build, let's say a sample app to help to supplement a developer to understand how our tool works or something like that.